And welcome to the Her Story Online Summit. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today we are graced with two amazing women. Welcome to the tribe. Please tell everybody your full names, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi there, my name is Adrienne and I am the mother of this beautiful young lady sitting next to me.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And we are in Melbourne, Victoria. And so today we're sharing our story. I want you to imagine for a moment that you're driving around in the normal chaos of your day when the phone rings. Ray, you better get over here quick. We've had to call an ambulance for Eve. In a split second, every cell in my body went into hyperdrive because nothing was going to get into the way of me reaching my daughter. My mind is racing. What happened? By the time I arrive, I'm bracing myself for impact, but nothing prepares you for seeing that.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Yes.
She introduced herself as Alex, and then you said Eve.
Yes.
Was that a mistake or?
No.
Okay, sorry. I just thought I'd make you aware of it. So start from the beginning. My apologies.
We were wondering if we should say this is my daughter Eve, who now goes by Alex. We could say that, and then we share this, and this is the story of how that happened or something.
It's just a little difficult because my family is the only ones that call me Eve still. So that's where the confusion is.
Plus the name change is part of the story.
Yeah, so I think mention it right up front, because in my head, I thought she introduced herself as Alex. Mom was saying Eve, so people will also pick up that something is off. So, all right, I'll go out and start from the top.
Okay. Hi, my name is Adrienne, and this is my beautiful daughter, Eve, sitting beside me. Now, you will call her Alex, but she's always going to be Eve to me, and this is our story, and you share where we're from.
Yes, we're from Pakenham in Australia. I only recently just moved here. But it's lovely here, enjoying the community.
Yeah. So we just lost our story. Hang on a minute. Sorry. Okay. So I want you to imagine for a moment you're driving around in the normal chaos of your day when the phone rings. Ray, you better get over here quick. We've had to call an ambulance for Eve. In a split second, every cell in my body went into hyperdrive. Nothing was going to get in the way of me reaching my daughter. My mind is racing. What has happened? By the time I arrive, I'm bracing myself for impact. But nothing prepares you for seeing your child on a stretcher, catatonic. She'll be all right, they said. Are you kidding? Nothing about this was all right. Fear collided with anger, and I was terrified, utterly terrified of losing my beautiful girl. I'm already going to start to cry. Because sometimes, no matter how close you are to your children, they're going through things you have no idea about. And that reality slapped me in the face when Eve hit her teens and we watched helplessly from the sidelines as she slipped into a darkness so deep I could no longer reach her the way I used to. She pushed us out, changed her appearance, her name, her gender, and Eve became Alex. Her friendships became minefields, constantly being accused of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, being the wrong thing, when all she wanted was to love her friends and to stand by them.
I see the way people look at me. I see the judgment in their eyes when they see my scars and my makeup. They put me in a box before even speaking to me. My teenage years were and probably will always be the lowest point of my life. Words really can't express the emotions and thoughts going through my mind during that time because honestly, I still don't understand myself. I did hate myself. I hated the world and whoever created it. I hated that I was different, and people I surrounded myself with constantly reminded me of that. I hated myself so much that I resorted to destroying my mind and body in every way I could think of.
Yeah, let me tell you, panic is a really bad place to make a parenting decision from. So thankfully I reached out for advice. Adrienne, she's bracing yourself for your anger. But if you lead with that, you will lose her. Instead, go in with love, be a safe place, and let her know that nothing she's done can change her place by your side. So that's what I did. I took a deep breath, walked into her room, scooped her up in my arms, and held her as tight as I could. It was raw and it was vulnerable. I let my heart flow into hers so that she knew without a doubt that we were in this together. And thank God I did, because what followed was some of the darkest years of our lives.
It started with a cutting. It was barely noticeable at first, just like the darkness that was slowly consuming me. But as the emptiness grew, so did my desire to go deeper. When the cut stopped stinging, I realized I couldn't feel anything anymore. So I chased the kind of pain that came in a bottle, because numbness felt worse. After that came the weed. Oh my God. The first time I smoked was euphoria. There was pure bliss and genuine laughter, and for a brief moment, I forgot my self-loathing. As you can imagine, I was hooked, and smoking was added to my long list of unhealthy coping mechanisms. Around the age of 15, I started questioning my gender identity. When I looked in the mirror, all I could feel was disgust. My shoulders were too broad, my legs too short. My waist wasn't tiny like those girls online. My neck was too long, my nose too big for my face. I picked apart my body and decided that I didn't want to be a girl anymore. I shaved my hair and changed my name. I binded my chest and wore baggy clothes to hide my hideous body. I practiced eating, speaking, and walking like a boy, anything to finally fit in.
And man, oh man, fear and judgment became all hurtling at us. Sometimes from strangers, but too many times from people we thought were friends. And the grief, nobody tells you how much you're going to grieve. Because no matter how much Alex told us he was still the same person, he wasn't. Not for me. Alex was suffocating the life out of Eve, and I wanted Eve. I wanted my happy, vibrant, creative girl who sang and danced and giggled. No one gets me every time telling that part of the story. But somewhere along the way, Eve stopped feeling safe, and so she disappeared and Alex took her place.
It still wasn't enough. I developed an eating disorder, starving myself to the point my bones were sticking out, but no one even knew because of the clothes that I wore. I also had a serious problem with alcohol. The wounds didn't hurt to make anymore, so I needed something to elevate my pain. When I told my parents, I was still the same person. I genuinely believed it. But really, I was an empty shell, desperately searching for something to fill the void. I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror, but that's what I wanted, wasn't it?
And while everybody else was having their opinions and making their judgments, we were just trying to survive. Wading through a minefield as we navigated how to support our child and discover who we trust. She was a big minefield, by the way. Most of the time, I was hanging on for dear life, just waiting for the next late night phone call and the quiet plea of my daughter's voice. Mum, I'm sorry. Mum, I need you. Mum, help. And I would fly up to her room, terrified of what I would find, and each and every time I was scooping her up again.
People took advantage of my vulnerable state and used my low self-esteem to make themselves feel better. I allowed myself to be walked over time and time again. I was so desperate for love and acceptance that I didn't realize these people gave zero shits about me. I was groomed, I was raped, I was manipulated. They all saw me as an easy target, and I will never let that happen again. As all this was going on, I had no idea of the pain I was causing my family, specifically my mum. She was always the first one by my side anytime I did something stupid. Always the arms I would crawl into when I needed to cry. I didn't see that being my only support system was taking such a toll on her. The moment I realized the weight of my actions was having on my family and friends, was the moment that I chose to heal. I had drunk myself to the brink of unconsciousness, along with taking every single pill I could get my hands on. I was planning on dying that night. I had notes written to all my loved ones, reassuring them that no one was to blame. But as I lay there, slowly descending into the darkness, I pictured my younger siblings coming to wake me up in the morning and realizing that they couldn't. I knew right then that I didn't really want to die. I was just too exhausted to keep trying. But I decided that I didn't want to give up on happiness. I wanted to live and to prove to myself and everyone else that it does get better. So, with quivering hands, I reached for my phone and made a call. Mum, I'm sorry. I fucked up again. I need you. I prayed it wasn't too late. I hear her burst through my door, and the next moment I'm being cradled in her arms once again.
And every time I arrived by her side, I was allowed further and further in. And the further in I went, the more I began to see, truly see, perhaps for the first time, all her pain, all her quiet suffering, her voice silently screaming out at us, desperate to be heard. How much she kept it all in, hidden, except for the growing count of scars and angry wounds sliced up her arms and down her legs, except for the 10 or 20 vodka bottles I'd find stashed under her bed, except for the surgical blades, the cigarettes, the pot, all red flags pointing to the desperate little girl who'd become lost in the chaos of life that was our family. And somewhere in all that heartbreak, I realized I wasn't just witnessing her pain. I was meeting my own. Everything I'd buried, everything I'd ignored was staring back at me through her eyes. It was humbling, it was confronting, and it demanded my attention.
The shaking in her voice on the phone with the operator was heartbreaking for me to hear. What a piece of shit daughter I was to put my mother through this. How selfish was I not to see her pain sooner? I knew that if I lived through this, I would spend every moment making it up to her. That was my turning point. Choosing laughter instead of anger. Choosing to ignore the judgment of others and focus on myself. If there is one thing I can say confidently, it is that laughter really is the best medicine.
And I could have let myself get swallowed, but I didn't. For me, that moment of awakening came right in the middle of the chaos when I realized I had also been drowning in my own sea of darkness. I'd completely lost myself, lost my joy, lost my light. I couldn't even remember the last time I'd laughed. I was so busy holding it all together. I couldn't see everything was falling apart. And in that moment, it became crystal clear I needed to make a choice. Keep drowning or reclaim my joy. It was a real line in the sand moment, and it totally flipped the switch.
I remember that flip of the switch. That moment when my mother's laughter began to fill the house again, like a sea of light in the seemingly never-ending darkness. That laughter taught me not to take things so seriously. It taught me that instead of drowning in our problems, we can just laugh at how absolutely fucked up the world is. Life is a whole lot better when you are your own biggest fan. So be confident, laugh at your own jokes louder than everyone else. Finding humor in the pain is one of the best things I've ever done.
Absolutely. Thank God too, because joy isn't found in the absence of pain. I think that's what we've both really learned. It's actually born through it. Joy coexists with the hardship, like this ironic harmony. When you give yourself permission to laugh again, like we did, to laugh at ourselves most of all, and you laugh loud. We both do. Everything began to shift. And here's the miracle. By giving myself permission to laugh, as you can see, I gave Alex permission to. Bit by bit, laughter became part of her healing and part of her strength in fighting her way back through the darkness and back home to herself.
Each one of my scars remind me of the lowest point in my life. They also symbolize my strength. So many people in this world struggle with self-harm. In the self-harm community, there's this distorted hierarchy where people are judged by the severity of their scars, as if the depth of your scars, your wounds, represents the depth of your depression. And the more you've suffered, the higher you sit in that unspoken ranking. This needs to be talked about. It's time we brought this into the world of awareness. This is the biggest reason why sharing my experience is so important, not just for me, but for all the people like me and all the uneducated individuals out there who are far too comfortable making assumptions about strangers.
Yeah, and for me, it's just to give other mums and parents hope. I mean, that too, I'm going to be beside and behind Alex, Eve, whatever she calls herself, as long as she's going out there and being herself, absolutely every step of the way. So you're not alone, and love and laughter really do have the power to break through those barriers. But most of all, we need to do this together. Yeah. And that's our story.
Oh, ladies, wow. What an incredible journey you have been on.
A long one.
Yeah.
But what I love about your story is your relationship. So let's start there. Prior to all of this going down, what kind of a relationship would you say you had that managed to help you sustain such a challenge at this period in your lives?
Oh, big question. Would you like me to talk? Or?
You can start.
For me, I think one of the things that really helped me keep my connection, my emotional connection with Mum, was just her willingness to accept me just for who I was, and just no judgment. I never felt judgment from her at any point. She always made me feel loved and safe and comforted. And, you know, I was allowed to make my mistakes. I think she realized at some point that no matter what she said or did, or how much she wanted to, you know, protect and control certain things, I was going to make my own decisions either way, you know, as teenagers do. But really just being there and just showing support unconditionally was really the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had two older children to really help me learn those lessons before Eve hit her, or Alex, sorry, I'll remember to call you Alex.
It's okay.
Yeah. Before she hit her teens. But we were very blessed with that vibrant, bubbly girl who loved connection. So she was always seeking connection, and she's very easy to connect with. And I think that's been her biggest strength as well. And I do remember her one day saying to us, as she would have been around 11 or 12 years old, and with some unique wisdom at that age, she said, "Mum, Dad, I know that when I hit my teenage years, I'm probably going to disappear inside myself a bit, because, you know, that's what happens. So I just want you to know that I love you, and I'll do my best to try and talk, but, you know, understand it's just probably something I'll be going through." So we looked at each other and went, wow. I think, yeah.
That's incredible.
Little did
So-
I know.
Little did we know.
So, Alex, you bravely shared how much you hated yourself during those years. What do you wish people understood about that pain?
Oh, that's really difficult. It's really difficult to describe, like, how you feel when you just look in the mirror and you don't even recognize what you see. I was just getting to the point where I wanted to change everything about myself because I was so used to people judging me and, making me feel bad about myself or my personality, because, as Mum said, I was always such a vibrant and bubbly person, and that was all good when I was little. But when I started getting into high school, it was, kids are mean.
Yeah.
And I think they just broke me down, and I didn't like what I saw anymore. And it's just like, it's really deep, really, really deeply rooted pain, I think. There was a lot of other things that was happening for me that contributed. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
It's a
that's
difficult thing to explain because I guess for most teenage girls, you have so much going on, your hormonal changes,
yeah.
things you can't put into words and articulate or explain. So, Mom, if I come to you, when did you realize that anger would push your daughter away and that love was the only way forward?
Oh, that really was that phone call. That phone call, like reaching out for. We live in a society where we isolate ourselves, and we think that people won't understand, or we get so scared of judgment that it can what's the word I'm looking for? Silence is not the right word, but when we need people most, often we go into hiding, and we try and keep everything behind closed doors. But transparency, I think, is probably a big part of what Alex and I are really trying to show by sharing our story. We know that it's not going to be everybody's story. Not everybody's daughter is going to go through this stage in their life and come back to being their daughter again. So we want to be sensitive to that, obviously. But I was struggling so much in myself. I had no idea how to walk it out. I needed help, and we had her dad and I had been seeing a counsellor at the time, and so he was the one I reached out to, and he just gave me the exact wisdom that I needed. And that moment when I saw her face when I walked into that room, I knew he was right. I could see my child sitting there,
terrified,
fully
terrified of her wrath.
all of her walls were up.
Little did you know your mom
very
didn't
angry.
even feel anger. I guess she would have felt more of a fear than anything else.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the
there was
fear
definitely
not knowing-
anger, but it wasn't at me.
Well, fear became anger, didn't it? Yeah, it was angry with the situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not at you. Now, what did healing look like in the early days? And what worked and what didn't?
In the early days, look, it's really difficult for me to put my finger on where exactly there was a shift, because it was such a long journey of depression, and, like, all those years I think are a bit muddled up for us. I've pushed a lot of memories out myself, I think. So it's hard to place exactly where things happen. But for me, I don't know, I kind of just woke up one day and I was like, I'm just so sick of hating myself all the time. I'm so sick of being so miserable. And I realized that I wasn't pleasant to be around. Like, I would just, all this negative energy that I was constantly radiating from myself. I was like, I do not want to be this person anymore. And I think I just started, like, think I started experimenting a little bit with my looks, and like I tried putting on makeup again, which before, when I tried to do that while I was, you know, wanting to be a boy, I'd try to occasionally put on makeup to see how I felt, and I just hated it. I hated how it looked, and it just set in stone how I was feeling. I was like, yep, I definitely am a boy because I don't like how I look like this. But I think slowly I started embracing my femininity more.
Mm-hmm.
I started looking at my body with different eyes and realizing not everybody looks the same. I can't compare myself to people you see online, you know, and I'm beautiful in my own way. And as soon as I started loving myself in my mind and my spirit, I think I started loving my body more, and I started accepting myself for who I was. And
yeah. And we both had some key people in our lives, I think, that were feeding some positivity. I know Alex was going through her own journey of reaching out and seeing who she could trust, and different connections that filled her up and helped to speak life into her. And I also was doing the same thing. But also clearing yourself of that addiction to self-harm, I think, was a big thing as well.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize it was an actual addiction, that was a thing, that hurting yourself is something you can enjoy in some way. That was a very foreign concept to me. But there was one day in the car, I'd periodically check in on her and see how she's doing. And so I'd tentatively test the waters of whether or not it was a safe question to ask, you know, how are you doing with the cutting at the moment? And one day when I asked that question, she turned around and she goes, do you know what? I'm not even trying not to do it anymore. I actually have no desire at all.
Oh, wow.
My goodness, thank God.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That was such good news.
Now, you both speak so beautifully about laughter as healing, and I'm experiencing it with you right now. Can you share a moment when laughter changed everything?
Well, there's this one, I'm not sure if this answers the question directly, but I remember when Mum was slowly getting her light back, and I'd be out with her in town with my brother, and we'd be in the supermarket, and randomly she'd start singing to a song that was playing, or her laugh is loud. She's got a loud laugh. It's great. But at the time, for a preteen or like a teenager who was struggling with social anxiety, it was quite embarrassing for me. But I think at one point I started to look at it differently. I saw it not as embarrassing, but I admired that she was so comfortable in her own skin. She didn't give a shit what people thought about her.
Oh.
And it was really inspiring for me. And that's it.
A fantastic role model. Now, Adrienne, you say that, what message would you give to parents who are grieving the loss of the child they once knew?
Oh,
thought we were prepared for that question, but I don't think we were.
Yeah, I think let yourself grieve for starters, and find some safe people to talk to, because they are out there. There will be people who've got no idea what's going on with you, and who you can safely talk with, pray with, if you're a Christian like me, and just be honest with. Let your ugly get out. You need somewhere for your ugly to go.
Yes.
I like to let my ugly out. I've learned how healing that is. You don't have to do it. You don't do it in front of your child.
No, in a safe place.
But actually, it's okay to be a little bit vulnerable in that space with them as well, because what I learned while I was trying to protect Alex from understanding how hard it was for me, I somehow gave the impression that I didn't care. And we had that one conversation where I found out that, and oh my goodness, no, no, this really this is really hard. I've got no idea what I'm doing. And so there's that saying of failing forward, just just be gentle on yourself, allow yourself to grieve. I've got no idea what it would have looked like other than if Alex had have continued wanting to be a boy and took the hormone treatment and went right through that whole process. We would have walked it out together, and I would have loved Alex and learned how to love Alex and see Alex and all the gold that was there as Alex, my son, as opposed to Alex, my daughter, or Eve, my daughter. But I think they're together as well. So there's that balance of finding other people who maybe are going through something similar, because once we had started having the conversation, we discovered community. It was more. I know I'm babbling. I'm trying to. There's more people going through
needing this help than not.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest misconception about self-harm and depression that you want to challenge?
That's me, obviously. As I said in one of the lines as we were talking before, there's just there's such a toxicity in the self-harm community. And, as Mom said, she didn't even know there was a community as such.
Yeah.
But there's groups online that talk about it, and sometimes it can be a positive space, and, everyone's just, giving each other advice and being there for each other. But sometimes it can be quite twisted. And there's this whole, when I was in school, there was this whole thing about you weren't valid if you didn't go a certain depth. Like if it was just surface level, then, it didn't actually mean that you were depressed. You weren't actually wanting to hurt yourself. You were just doing it for attention. And there's this whole thing I've been told that, since I have so many scars, I must not want to kill myself. I'm just doing it for attention because someone with as many scars as me, doesn't really want to die.
You're not doing the job properly.
Yeah, I'm not doing the job properly. That's right. So it's just, it's crazy to me how judgmental people can be about something so sensitive, unless you've struggled with something like that yourself, you really can't understand what it's like, even looking back and thinking about how I was able to do that to myself. Yeah. I feel nauseous just thinking about it. I don't know how I was mentally able to harm myself to that extreme. It's horrible. And no one, like, even if you are just doing it for attention, as they say, there is still something wrong there. No one's doing that to themselves when they're in a healthy mindset.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now let's finish off our interview. If you could each go back and speak to your younger selves, the mother and the daughter, in their darkest moments, what would you say?
Do you need to think or? Okay.
Head to the light.
I think I would probably just tell myself not to put so much pressure on myself, not to expect things so much. I was always comparing myself to other people, like just constantly. It was
more internal than external, right?
Yeah, I I wanted to be someone that everyone liked, and I tried too hard to get to that point, and I was losing myself in the process. I was trying to be someone that I wasn't, and what I would tell myself is, people will love you for you. Like, you're an amazing person. I believe I'm an amazing person. I love myself now, and I think that energy just radiates off me, and I have so many amazing people around me now. I really,
Awesome.
yeah, like, people feel comfortable around me now, and just when you're confident in yourself, it shows, and people will just gravitate towards you.
Yeah,
It's
beautiful.
Good.
And Mom, you could go back.
I would say go on your damn healing journey now, girl, before you have children, and you have to watch them live what you lived to finally figure it out. Because there's so much life to be missed out on. Like when I said that I saw myself being reflected back in what was going on for Eve. I mean, she did it in her own unique way, of course. And we didn't do exactly the same thing, but there's so many similarities there that it's you can't ignore that. So our children are a reflection of ourselves. So if I went back to my younger self, it would be my pre-children self, and I would be encouraging her to go on the healing journey to step out of that fear, to know, just like Alex so eloquently shared, that you are already amazing. You've already, like, people have been trying to bring you down. So find your light, find your beauty, and let that shine.
Yeah, as soon as you stop caring about what other people think, they actually like you more.
Wow.
It's so funny.
I'll tell you, your story is so inspiring. It's beautiful to see a mother-daughter relationship blossom from such hardship and tragedy. But you're here and you're sharing your story now to uplift and inspire other families who are still going through this. So thank you for your courage, your vulnerability, and for showing up so that your story becomes somebody else's survival guide. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Yes, it's something that needs to be talked about. So,
absolute pleasure. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a speaking platform. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share these stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you know a family who is going through a challenge like this, please reach out, join communities that can support you. If you are religious, go back to your faith, find the tools that can guide you. But I think this is such a positive and uplifting story with a very positive ending to it, because a lot of young girls are going through the surgery, the hormone treatment, and then they live to regret because they didn't just pause just a little bit to see if they could go back to being who they were when they were little girls. So thank you so much, Alex, for your courage, for your resilience, and thank you to your mom for all the love and the laughter that you brought to bring me back to her. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Gertrude.
I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing speaker. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thank you.